On the stage of the globe, an actor.
Outdoors in England with rain, so that.
Mm. On the stage of the globe, an actor would enter at one door and exit at another. When a character or characters left the stage, they would not be the first to appear in the subsequent scene. These were important principles designed to lead the impression of a dramatic world in progress. Theatrical life continued, as it were, quote, behind the scene. Life continued, you see. When they went off the stage, their life continued behind the scene. There was an illusion of a flowing imagination.
I thought you say theatrical word. Continue.
They would come on the stage and go off as if they their dramatic world in progress, theatrical life continued, as it were, behind the scene, meaning
Theatrical life.
in your
Okay.
imagination they were
Yes.
continuing.
Mhm.
There was an illusion of a flowing imaginative world in which the actors on the stage were the visible token. It is also an indication of the formal fluency of the Elizabethan drama, depending as it does upon contrast and symmetry, balance, and opposition of finely opposed forces. The wide space allowed for speed and flexibility of plot. It is possible that the words were spoken much more quickly than in any modern performance. My goodness. It's quickly, it's already fast. You wanted to slow it down? There were no acts, only scenes, signaled by the various exits and the entrances of the actors themselves. Act breaks were not. You see, the act breaks did not were not introduced until approximately 1607. They didn't have Act One, Act Two. They just came on and off. After a general exit, for example, stage property might be carried on by stagehands wearing their blue livery before other characters entered. The Elizabethan stage was not self-conscious about its procedures, the mechanics of stage, quote, business, and, of course, neither were the plays themselves. There was no appetite for realism or naturalism in any of its current senses. The drama of the globe then was largely built upon a succession of scenes. The sequence of scenes conforms to the English love of interdependent units, a series of variations upon a theme that encourages variety rather than concentration and heterogeneity rather than intensity. That is why a new entrance was always significant and why it is heavily emphasized in the stage directions. Quote, enter Cassandra with her hair about her ears. Enter Trojan in his nightgown all ready. Enter Godfrey as newly landed and half naked. Enter Charles all wet with his sword. Enter Ecoli with the letter. These were defining moments in the creation scene. They represented purpose and character setting in motion the subsequent action. The presence of the actor, what was known as the ability of body, was the paramount element of the dramatic entertainment. It is also possible that the player sometimes made his entry from the yard, perhaps from one of the entrances to the theater, and then vaulted onto the stage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The actor would come forward and then deliver his lines to the audience. He did not enter a particular location. He entered in order to address or confront another actor. Speakers were also separated from speakers and non-speakers in dramatic space. There were set patterns for scenes of greeting and of parting. There were stage conventions for kneeling and embracing. There or no doubt also accepted theatrical codes for asides and soliloquies. Perhaps a particular placing of the body on stage. The close of the performance for a high-ranking character left on stage delivered the final lines. The audience loved processions and marches and dumb shows. It is loved color and display. There's a large element of ceremony and ritual about this theater, in other words, which remained an important part of its staging. There was a general setting of blank space that actor and playwright could manipulate with perfect imaginative freedom. It has been suggested by some theatrical historians that place cards were set to inform the audience of a particular setting, but this is perhaps too prescriptive. It was enough for the actor to announce his location, and of course the nature of the costumes also determined the nature of place. The green garment of a forester would signify a wood, a set of gaolers' keys, a prison. Costume was a most important theatrical device in a visual culture. It was the key to all levels of society and all forms of occupation. Elizabethan actors and audiences also delighted in disguise as a plot service device. More was spent on costumes than on text or actors' salaries. And the inventory of the company wardrobe included robes, cloaks, jerkins, doublets, breeches, tunics, nightshirts, and of course there was always a need for armor. In one of his inventories, Henslow also lists a range of more exotic costumes: a suit for a ghost and a senator's gown, a coat for Herod, as well as apparel for a devil and a witch. A good wardrobe master kept cast-offs and oddments of clothing, and there is reason to believe that the companies were sometimes given the remnants of a nobleman's wardrobe of worn-out clothes and garments that had been gone out of fashion. Clothing also determined the identity of the character. There was conventional customs for the Jew and the Italian, the doctor, the merchant. A canvas suit indicated a sailor, and a blue coat was the token of a servant. Virgins wore white, and the doctors were dressed in scarlet gowns. The female characters sometimes wore masks as an overtly theatrical way of disguising their fundamentally male identity. In that sense, Elizabethan theater has affiliations with classical Greek and Japanese drama. There was no scenery as such, but on occasions, painted cloths were used. And in Henslow's theatrical accounts, there is a description of, quote, a cloth of the stone or moan, unquote. They were not naturalistic, but were designed to convey an atmosphere or to suggest a theme. When romances were to be played, for example, there were cloths painted with cupids. When tragedies were to be performed, the stage was hung in black draperies. There were a few stage properties for each production, notably beds or tables and chairs. Allusions in playtext to trees may refer to the two pillars holding up the canopy, which could be employed for a multitude of purposes. The realism was not an issue. Stools were left on stage for histrionic use. An actor might wish to sit upon them or brandish them at an opponent. A scaffold could double as a monument or pulpit. The list of properties for the Lord Admiral's men has survived. Among them are noted a rock, a cave, a tomb, a bedstead, a bay tree, a boar's head, a lion's skin, a black dog, a wooden leg. Bladders of sheep's blood was readily available for murders and battle scenes. It has been calculated, however, that 80% of Shakespeare's scenes written for the globe needed no props at all. Shakespeare was content with a bare space in which to create his dramatic narratives. He is a very clear, it is a very clear indication of his bounding imaginative energy. We read about the globe on the stage, about the new globe. About this wide and universal theater, chapter 61, from Peter Ackroyd, Shakespeare, the biography. Is that the globe? What is that?